Don't you just want to like storm a castle wall, Hans?
God, more than anything.
Have you ever just wanted to just storm a castle wall?
No,
haven't you
if
ever?
you don't die storming the castle wall, then you have to go back to a tiny little tent and in a hole, and that sounds very
and then
unpleasant
storm
to me.
it again.
Yeah. Hans, don't you ever wish you could like square up like 1v1 against like another guy, and then in like one fell swoop, like, you know, be 1/2 a nanosecond faster than him, and just like.
No, because I wouldn't be 1 nanosecond faster than him. I would be the one dying a painful, miserable death on the ground.
No, shut up. You're a nanosecond faster than him. That's
Hans,
the fantasy.
You're Tom Cruise. You get to be the last samurai.
Look at me.
Okay, look at Tom Cruise.
I am not Tom Cruise. Listen, Zach, you a couple weeks ago said that you were basically the Brad Pitt of this
fact,
podcast.
I also have an update for that.
Fun
fact,
it's been no such claim.
It's been an incredibly Dudes Rock weekend. I also just watched Moneyball again recently.
You also just got back from Seattle, where was it on the way to or coming from? You watched Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, that's going to come up in the episode too. That's relevant to today's episode.
But you can't check your six. It's kind of like, taking a screwdriver to a gunfight. What's happening? Just like on top.
So, you guys, you ever like accidentally touch a live wire?
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah. Like there was a time I remember very specifically in my childhood, the plate, like the plastic cover plate was off a light switch.
Yes.
And I was like fumbling around for a light switch and
outlet,
accidentally got my fingers in there and was like, ooh. Yeah. You know the feeling, right?
Yeah.
And for like a couple seconds after that, you're scrambled. Like your mind is all just like you can't keep anything straight. You don't really realize exactly what just happened to you. And you're just trying to recollect your thoughts.
Yeah, the human body wasn't meant to experience that. We're not
right.
My reaction was similar but worse. Mine was like, I wonder what would happen if I touched it again.
Oh, well, okay, but you don't have that thought until after you've sort of recollected yourself, right?
Yeah,
I hope
your brain has to right the ship
for the purposes
of
what
like
I think
valid,
you're gonna say. Yeah,
right, valid train. I'm taking a long time on this, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So that was how my brain felt for an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Up until I joined this call, because I can't. We use a lot of hyperbole here. I know I'm very guilty of that. I cannot put into words what it is that I just.
It was weird.
Do you want me to help you? Because I can.
I can't.
What you watched was just straight up, like, no compromise, like absolute grade A, 100% uncut Chinese propaganda.
Yeah.
I feel like I was just like tased for an hour, and I'm still trying to come to terms with what I just saw.
No, I can help you.
So...
Do you know what you just saw? You just saw the triumph of the Chinese working man, and how he is much better than any Westerner at his job. He is more loyal to his country than Westerners. He is more honest, more competent, and he's better at bagging European women.
True. All true. After watching this movie, I'm convinced.
The Chinese salesman is the poster boy of good humanity in the world.
And also just how unfair it is that Chinese telecom companies don't like fully control the 3G networks of every single other country and network.
Yeah, isn't it unfair how the Chinese 3G standard isn't the global standard? Shouldn't we change that?
And you might think this is a part of the movie. That's the whole movie.
In-depth discussions get to the climax
about
of a
Chinese
regular
telecom
movie.
companies being allowed to control the 3G network.
Yeah, you get to, spoiler alert, you get to the climax of like a normal movie at about the hour and a half mark, where they stop the Civil War and everyone's safe. And then it goes on for another 20 minutes to the real finale of the movie, where like China is thanked for establishing a new telecommunications standard for the world.
Right.
That's the real climax of this film.
They use a metaphor.
China's telecommunications technology is the best.
Yeah, they use a metaphor where they say, it's like if you own a house, but somebody else owns the keys to the house and the locks to the house, and they can come in and change the locks whenever they want. And that's not fair. So we need to own the keys and the locks and the house for it to truly be your house. And I'm sitting there like, what?
Doesn't that mean a different person owns my house?
What is happening? What is happening? What is happening right now? What is... oh my God. Okay, so...
Yeah, tell us what... Give me a blow by blow.
Wait, can I real quick? I just want to give a little disclaimer.
Yeah.
I think we have already, and we will talk throughout this podcast about how this is very blatant Chinese government funded propaganda.
Yeah, I have
literally in the end credits, they like thank like the Ministry of Propaganda. Like not joking. I just want to, because it's very dangerous when something like this happens, when you watch like another country's propaganda. I don't want anybody listening to this to think that this will devolve into the classic. I don't want this to evolve into like what is the all too common anti-Chinese like xenophobia, like some kind of jingoistic. Like we also recognize oftentimes when we're watching an American movie, like say maybe on the plane ride to Seattle, you watch a double feature of Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick, that we are watching straight, uncut, bold, no holds barred American propaganda. Like, hey, isn't it awesome how great the Navy is? You should enlist. Like Hollywood definitely has its own issues with allowing, perhaps government and military institutions to influence the messaging of their movies into propagandistic viewpoints.
Yeah.
It is just perhaps comedic for us from an outsider perspective to see it so blatantly from another country. So just as we're talking about it, this is not based on an anti-Asian or anti-Chinese sentiment or like jingoistic values. Just it is very funny that the movie is just like, hey, Chinese telecom companies should be in charge of 3G. Their 3G is so much better. And then the end credit literally says, like, thank you for the Ministry of Propaganda, like, for helping us make this movie. It is, and that is the entire film.
It is so unbelievably on the nose.
That the propaganda part of it is funny, not necessarily, elements related to the people depicted.
Well, like, Steven Seagal did 45 American
Yeah, also Steven
films,
Seagal's in this, by the way. Kind of.
He did like 40 some odd American propaganda films. Let's just look at what it looks like when he does a Chinese propaganda film.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Okay.
And Mike Tyson.
I'm so sorry.
And Mike Tyson.
And Mike Tyson just...
Yeah, Mike Tyson, kind of.
It's rough, though.
Hans, tell us what happened.
Tell us what happens, if you can.
So we're talking about China Salesman, also sometimes known as Deadly Contract.
Which that actually, I mean, they both make sense in their own way.
They both make sense, even though China Salesman is used in like a disparaging, like the character literally says, hey, please don't call me that in the movie. So it is a little weird that they call the movie
like multiple times.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, and after he says, please don't call me that, that's literally all he's referred to.
Yeah.
Throughout the rest of the movie.
Using his name.
And he is a China Salesman because he's trying to... He's trying to sell Chinese telecom in Northern Africa.
Yeah.
So he's the China salesman.
Like, that's just so blatantly, like... That's like also, H.P. Lovecraft levels of offensive.
But I just want to, like... Maybe we need to have a section at the end about how this operates as propaganda, because I think that was like a really intentional move that partway through the movie they just stop using his name.
Yeah.
And refer to him exclusively as China Salesman.
Yeah.
Exclusively for the utility that he provides.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. We follow Yan Jian. You know what? I'm not even gonna. It would take me an hour to actually talk this out, and we would just talk and talk and talk and talk, and you wouldn't actually understand it because it doesn't make any sense. So I'm gonna give you the recap that IMDb gives because it's just as good as anything else, and then we're gonna talk about the intricacies of what happens in between there because it is wild. So we follow Yan Jian, a young Chinese IT engineer. That's it. Who volunteers to go to North Africa to help the company he works for to win a competition. The competition is to have their telecom connect all of Africa together. The winner can own the right to control the communication between South and the North of Africa.
Yeah.
A French spy works for the West. His boss ordered him to go to North Africa and win the competition so that they can control the great mineral resources of Africa. He hired the best mercenary in Africa, who is Steven Seagal, who shows up in this movie for like 8 minutes. And a former general played by Mike Tyson, who also shows up in this movie for like 12 minutes to help him. Jan has discovered their conspiracy. He is the only one who can stop him. So you have a competition to have the rights for connecting up all of Africa. Now, in this movie, they talk about Africa as if it's a country and not a massive continent, but it's just always Africa. It's the north of Africa and the south of Africa, and the telecom company has to connect them together so that they don't devolve into civil war. In the middle of the meeting where they're testing which telecom company is fastest.
Oh, it's amazing.
Mike Tyson breaks in and starts a civil war.
Which I have in my notes at this point.
Okay, Mike Tyson and literally tanks.
Yeah, he like drives a tank. Like 3 different tanks get driven through the front door of this building at different points throughout the movie.
Where a phone competition is happening.
Nowhere.
I have in my notes at this point in the movie where Mike Tyson drives a tank through the front door. I say, okay, so pro tip, when starting a civil war, the worst possible thing to attack first is a meeting of international business leaders from the most powerful countries in the world. That's how you immediately get NATO involved in this civil war.
So that happens. Yeah. Mike Tyson's guys shoot up all of the... I need to be clear on this. All of the test hardware that they were using to test how fast their telecom is. The test hardware. Now, the doing of that, of course, takes out all of the existing infrastructure across all of the north and south of all of Africa, so they have no communications. Because that's just how that works. And then throughout the rest of the movie, they all complain about how, because there are no telecommunications, their sat phones don't work. The sat phones don't use the cell network.
That's the whole point of a sat phone.
It's a sat phone, but of course they don't work because
if they did, the plot wouldn't happen.
Because, of course, they shot the test infrastructure that they had in one room that was being used for the test to see how fast the new network could be.
Keep in mind, this is for the second largest continent on the planet. Also.
Yes.
So,
like, imagine you shoot one, like, you take out, like, one Verizon building in, like, rural Alabama, and, like, the entirety of, like, North and South America loses internet or phones.
Yeah. It's just so, I can't, like, I'm sitting here watching this, like, it's just, I can't even understand.
There's also, like, a lot of talk near the beginning of the movie about, like, different standards for telecommunications protocols.
Yes.
They spend a lot of time on
this.
that.
I'm sitting here thinking, I have it in my notes, like this meeting could have been an email, the movie. I can't understand how this was the driving plot for this. I mean, it makes sense when you take into context why it was made and how it was made. But I mean, come on. It was ridiculous.
They spend, like, a lot of time debating the intricacies of different competing, like, cell phone standards.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So then after Mike Tyson starts a civil war, this is because...
Yeah, why does Mike Tyson start a civil war?
It's because the existing president of, I believe it was the North of all of Africa, died in a helicopter crash. Unrelated to everything. Unrelated to anything else or anyone else in the entire plot. He and his cabinet members die in a helicopter crash. So I guess everything is just ripe for the picking. You can just start a civil war and become the new leader of the entire continent. So Mike Tyson decides to do this. So in order
Which is a pretty funny bit.
In order to remedy the situation, they have to restore communications between the North and the South of Africa. Because in the North, you have the military who is fighting against the civil war. It's not really a civil war so much as it is a coup. But glossing over that, they call it a civil war. You have the North military fighting against Mike Tyson. And then in the South, you have what I guess is the president of the South.
I think he's just like a general. Like he's like the commandant of the military in the South.
Maybe that's that you might be right. And the whole of the first like hour and 20 minutes of this movie, the whole plot is we need to get them to talk to each other so that they know not to go, not to join Mike Tyson in a civil war. That's it. That's like the whole thing. Now they have sat phones, but of course those don't work because the cell network is down. So Yan Jian and the person, the European woman who was in charge of picking
French lady.
The winner. Oh, she French woman who was
Pretty
in charge
French
of picking
lady.
the winner. Suzanne, I think her name was, right?
Yeah. Who for some reason
Susanna.
like locked all these towers to her personal thumbprint. Like you can't
Yeah, of course.
reactivate these cell towers without her.
Yeah.
Why?
So they hate each other, but they have to team up
Because
to go
she's super
activate.
racist at the beginning, by the way.
It's true, she is. So
And more than just the beginning. She's just super racist.
They have to activate specifically three towers on the... I have to pull this up because... Knock out all three relay towers at the north-south border. Yeah. So the border between the north and the south of all of Africa. They have to turn on these towers because they've been deactivated. So they go and they do that. And shenanigans ensue, and Mike Tyson's in a tank, and they drive across the entirety of Africa in an afternoon. The North and South have their phone call, and the Civil War just ends. Just ends.
Everyone goes, yay, peace.
Hundreds
and then
of
fires
people
their
died.
AKs into the air.
They showed hundreds of people dying, riots in the streets of the capital of the north of all of Africa. And Mike Tyson and his army literally go... There's a TV broadcast. All the cell networks are down, but TV still works. There's a TV broadcast saying about how there's pillaging and raping going on throughout the entire country. And then they make a phone call, and the Civil War's over at the snap of their fingers.
Also,
and it's like, no.
You hear the entire phone call. They exchange like 3 sentences each.
Yeah. And it is, and you know why? You know how that happened? You know who brought peace to all of Africa?
It was China.
The China Salesman. with China's telecom.
To be fair, it makes some sense if you picture this being written essentially by like China's version of like Don Draper. He's like, you want to sell your mobile phones, okay? He's like, Civil War breaks out across all of Africa. Connecting them up by the cell phones helps heal the rift.
There you go.
That's gonna sell you. That's gonna sell your cell phones.
Also, there's like this whole scene where they're getting shot at and they can't cross over into southern Africa. Right. And so they're like, look around for a UN flag or a Red Cross flag, something that will save us, will protect us from the danger. And Yan Jian's like, how about this Chinese flag? And they're like, let's use it. And then they can just pass through Africa. Everyone respects them.
And everybody salutes
Everyone's
them.
like saluting the Chinese flag.
I love it.
Imagine you're at like the border crossing of the U.S. and Mexico. Also, not a light topic at the moment, but just imagine you're at border crossing and you have nothing to do with either government. You're just trying to get safe crossing across some random field, and there's a border patrol set up there. And you say you're coming, say, from the U.S. into Mexico, and you're rummaging around looking for a Mexican flag to show that you mean peace entering into Mexico. And someone says, "Oh, hey, I have a Chinese flag we can fly," and they clap as you drive by. Like, what?
They'll salute.
What?
Now, I'm going to say this. We cannot pretend that we do not treat the American flag the same way in our movies.
No, absolutely. Listen, I'm not that. We covered that. We are just as bad with propaganda. I remember singing songs as a child in kindergarten about how this country is so unbelievably amazing, and the best day anywhere else is worse than the worst day here.
Flag.
Exactly. Like I know that we were brainwashed as children just as much as everybody else. It's just really weird to see it from the other side.
Well, and even picture all-time dudes rock contender Independence Day.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Where it's like, oh, wait a minute. The president of America is giving a speech? Well, finally. Okay, now we can stop the aliens.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying we're not guilty. It's just really It's just supremely strange.
It is surreal to see someone else do the exact same thing.
But like, imagine Independence Day, but then it's like an advertisement for like UPS or FedEx or something.
Yeah, so
like they need to deliver this virus, and so it's like, dang it, it's so unfair how the United States Postal Service delivers things. Like, we should have privatized FedEx delivery and everything.
So like,
and they deliver the virus and save the day.
Here's the thing. This, okay, I want to call this section like, how does this operate as propaganda? Because
how does it? Good question.
I would say one thing for American propaganda, at least we aim a little higher.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. This actually reminds me of a joke that I really like.
Yeah.
So I think probably a good way to like kind of summarize, the way we're feeling during this episode. There's this old joke that I heard. I don't know where it originated from, but you have a student, like a university student from China. He's like approved, like, by his government to do like a study abroad program. They like pay for his, tuition and everything there. He goes to an American school, and he's talking to his professor, and this professor says, he's like, welcome to the school. Like, what are you hoping to get out of the study abroad? And the Chinese student says, well, my government's helped sent me over here so I can learn how to do propaganda the way that you all do in America. And the professor chuckles and he says, oh, we don't have propaganda over here. And the student says, yeah, like that. Yeah. So I think that's like what we're getting at.
Yeah. Because like, it's very obviously propaganda. It's not hiding the fact that it's propaganda. But I will say, like, American propaganda says we are the best in the world at everything. Literally, if the world were attacked by aliens, we would solve that. We are the best. And this particular...
The rest of the world is just waiting for us to see they're like, please, America, please come liberate us. It's all we want.
Yeah, and this piece of, like, for me, foreign propaganda is saying, isn't China so great? Like, we are the best at telecommunications technology.
Okay.
Which is like...
And it's unfair that we are not better, that we don't have more control over telecommunications.
It's just weirdly specific. Like,
it is, but I feel like I need to cut in here because we're talking about how, like you say, at least America shoots higher, but you need to understand that we've only seen this one.
Yes.
We haven't seen others.
That's true.
This one is a Seagal movie, which is like the dregs. This is the lowest of low.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is American propaganda that is also the dregs, that is the lowest of low.
Yeah, it's called American Sniper. It's food roasted. Sorry, Clint Eastwood. Not sorry.
Like, I feel like it's not fair to say that, man, they're really terrible at making these propaganda films. Meanwhile, we're looking at the worst.
No, I will say this is one of the best produced Seagal movies we've seen in like a long time. Which I think it helps that they have like 40 producers on this.
Oh my God, so many.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. They list them out at the beginning of the movie, not the end, not in the credits. You see them before anything happens on a black screen.
It's a black screen with just names. For like 2 solid minutes.
This might not sound like a lot, but like I was checking the timestamps. It is like a full minute of studio logos. And you're like, a minute's not that long. A minute is a long time.
A long time for studio logos.
Studio logo for a full 60 seconds. Immediately, the names of producers, a full 60 seconds, the 2 minutes in, you have seen studio logos and the names of producers.
Yeah, so many
That
names.
is an eternity.
So let's talk about Act 2, because after, like Aaron, like you said, after the typical movie climax, after you would think that it would end, there's still another 30 minutes. And Act 2 starts where the European telecom, who are a bunch of lying cheats, sue the Chinese telecom basically for saving the day.
Yeah, they say you used parts from our test machines in this. It's like, well, of course we did. It was the only parts in the room.
They cobbled them together after Mike Tyson shot everything to try and get a call out to end the Civil War. So, yeah. So they sue them, and the only solution to the problem...
This is wild.
...is for Yanjian to illegally, quote-unquote, release the source code for the Chinese telecom. Now, I don't know that much about how, like, global internet providers work, but I know that it's more like networking than it is code. Like it's infrastructure. It's not a program. There are programs, but it is mostly the infrastructure that is the core piece of how that operates. But no, in order to save the company from going into bankruptcy, the Chinese telecom is going into bankruptcy, and he needs to save them and win the contract by releasing the source code. And when he finally does, Mike Tyson tries to kill him, they hunt him down. It's a whole big mess. When he finally does illegally release the source code and then get arrested at the very end of the movie, and then the credits roll, they talk about how he saved their company, the Chinese telecom, who apparently doesn't do any business in China. They just tried to do business in North and South Africa, and if he didn't save them, they would have gone under.
I don't.
Which is funny to have an entire civil war erupt and that be the actual true emotional and plot climax ending of the film.
Yeah.
And it's just, man, these Europeans, they're pieces of shit, right? God,
which, to be
wouldn't
fair,
it be great if China ran everything?
To be fair, isn't this French woman kind of a piece of shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, she's like, he gets the girl at the end, and it's the racist French lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no movie can be perfect.
Even though there's a cute Chinese girl here this entire time.
Wait, but hear me out.
Yeah?
The Chinese propaganda foreign ministry department is like, hey, we made an entire movie about how the French suck. Perfect. 5 out of 5 with a heart. Where is that movie? The whole movie is just about how terrible the French are. They made it.
But it's odd to me, thinking of this through the lens of propaganda. I don't know why they did this way, and maybe I just don't understand how that works. But there is a Chinese woman in this movie, and she's his partner, shown as gloriously incompetent. She's bad at everything she does in this movie.
It's insane, and she's supposed to be his associate. She's helping him. She is not even helping him. She is his partner.
Yeah.
Getting things set up for this demo to win the contract.
Yeah. And
she just gets kicked out.
Well, she'll lose her temper and yell at the Frenchies and get them in trouble. It's very odd.
So I guess important question of the hour. Yeah. Question of the however long we talk about this, question of the 2 hours, I don't know. What's Steven Seagal doing in this movie?
Nothing!
We haven't really talked about that.
Oh. He's sitting in a chair for most of it. But he's sitting in a chair and drinking whiskey for most of it. But
and looking at a photo of his younger self.
In a really tight dress walk up to him. He slaps her on the butt and says, "Okay, I'm busy." And she goes, "Okay," and walks away. That's what he does in this movie.
Oh, but
and he looks at a photo of a younger version.
Yeah, he does look at a photo of a younger version of himself in full tactical gear.
We gotta hold on. I know you have something to say, but
of that already.
We do. I saw it in the folder. I need to look at this, and I think we all need to talk about this for just a moment. We'll put it in the show notes. But he's sitting at a computer, typing at a computer. He's just typing in out an email on the screen.
Yeah.
And on either side of him is a picture of him in his other movies.
Yeah. But
wait, there's multiple. Wait, that one's definitely Sniper Special Ops. Wait, those are both Sniper Special Ops. I think.
No, the one on the left isn't because he doesn't have the.
Oh, you're right. He doesn't have the goatee.
The goatee. But I love how these are printer printouts and stuffed into photo frames. You can see how it doesn't actually fit in the frame.
Yeah, there are actually multiple characters who have pictures of themselves on their desks.
This movie also came out in 2016, and he has a fat Philips CRT monitor on that desk.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry.
And it looks like a book about motorcycles. Holding up the photo of himself, and a model motorcycle on the other side. Okay,
well,
that's gonna come in later. Maybe he rides a cool motorcycle later.
Well, we'll come back to that. Aaron, you had something and I interrupted you, and I'm sorry.
So he mostly just sits down at his desk and drinks whiskey and is abusive to women. But he does get a fight scene with Mike Tyson. And I gotta say,
oh my God.
So Mike Tyson, not a good actor. I'm sorry, Mike. Not a good actor.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time talking about how bad Steven Seagal is as an actor. Mike Tyson, he's a really bad actor.
But I will give.
Don't let Steven Seagal overshadow.
I will
this.
give Mike Tyson
is a terrible
this.
actor.
His fight scene, that's definitely Mike up there throwing those punches, and he does a pretty good job with it. Like, he did a pretty good job in those fight scenes.
Okay. So
and the speed ramping
I don't
helped.
know if I can say this is. I don't know if this is the best fight scene or the worst fight scene. It's not really the best or worst in any way. Would it be fair to say this is the most laughable fight scene?
This is the first fight scene in a Steven Seagal movie in like a long time that I did not feel an overwhelming urge to look at literally anything else in the room.
Well, because
like this is the funniest. Don't watch this movie.
It was
spoiled. Don't watch this movie.
No.
Watch this. Fight scene.
The fight scene is worth
interesting.
Seeing. Yeah. There's like choreography. There's stuff happening. There's like back and forth. Good. Seagal loses.
No,
he does. Now, I mean, you don't even see his face.
No.
Like there are at least 4. I think I counted 4 punches that Mike Tyson gets on Seagal to his face.
Yeah.
Not even to any part of his body, but to his face. The way the choreography works, Seagal will punch Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson, he flinches. And like you can see him get knocked back, and you can see him actually react to it. And then Mike Tyson will punch Seagal, and Seagal like just sort of doesn't move.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of tanks it.
He just sort of like, and then moves right back.
He's like nose move.
Like he takes a punch to the face. Imagine punching yourself in the face, and your fist sort of like stuck to your forehead with glue. As your head recoils and your fist doesn't leave your forehead, and then you come right back, and then your hand moves away. That's kind of what it looks like.
It's like he pushed the fist back with his forehead.
Yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, and like that's all that Seagal would allow them to do. Like he just has the same blank expression on his face, and then when Mike Tyson finally deals the killing blow, he spins off to the side and then goes into a bunch of bottles of liquor, and you don't actually see his face. Like, Seagal wouldn't allow them to see him unconscious.
Honestly, part of me wonders if when they're filming, they told Seagal he gets to win the fight, so then they had to film him losing entirely with a stunt double and not even tell Seagal. Like, they had to do that a day when he wasn't on set.
Maybe.
But I was fascinated by this fight scene because at least there's like stuff happening here. It seems like it was choreographed with like a plan, and they didn't just say, okay, and then they fight. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was definitely a plan.
And it's silly to say, but like they break furniture, they break bottles. Yeah. Like there is some visual like dynamic to what is happening.
I mean, it's obviously like made of styrofoam,
it's not just two dudes fighting. They like incorporate the environment.
Yeah. They do.
There's a little bit of like wire work too.
A little bit, yeah. Mike Tyson does punch a column though. He punches like through like a stone column, and stone goes flying everywhere. It's
very CG.
And it's like they asked Corridor Digital to come in and do the CG, which Corridor Digital is really good. They're very good, but like from a long time ago.
To Hans's point, you do get the face shots of Seagal. Is Seagal's face not moving? The fist kind of supposedly boops him. His face doesn't move at all. You do get a decent amount of, from like the knees down, Seagal's character supposedly like being blown back like across the room.
Right.
Always from the knees down.
Right. But the whole any time where Seagal punches Mike Tyson, it's actually Mike Tyson doing the
you like see his face and arm, and he's moving.
Yeah.
There's a part where Seagal like slaps Mike Tyson's ear. That's very funny.
That was very funny.
So you should not watch China Salesman. You should go on YouTube and watch China Salesman, Mike Tyson versus Steven Seagal. Great fight scene HD from the YouTube channel Mega Fight.
You should. And you want to know why that's very important that you do that? Because in the China Salesman, with Seagal and Mike Tyson on the poster, this is the only scene that they share.
Yes.
It's also they don't show up together.
And it's 10 minutes in, and it has nothing to do with the plot. What's the reason they get in the fight? Pop quiz. Why do they fight?
Because Seagal
doesn't relate to the Civil War. It doesn't relate to the phones.
Because Seagal forces Mike Tyson to drink urine.
He says, drink this liquor, and Mike Tyson says, I don't drink liquor. And then he's like, wait, you're going to have me drink urine.
Yeah, no, Mike Tyson says, I am a Muslim. I don't drink alcohol. It's against my religion. And he says, too bad. Either that or you drink urine. And Mike Tyson says, how about I beat you up instead? And then does, and then leaves.
This exists in the same movie that we just described about the Chinese telecom.
I think they shot the scene and then they had to find a movie for it. So they're like, oh, we got this Chinese propaganda film. We can just insert it in.
But that's it.
But it doesn't relate at all. That's fine.
That's it. That's the only Steven Seagal shows up in this fight scene, and then he shows up to spank a woman on the butt and say, "I don't have time for you right now."
Yep.
That's the extent of his time in this movie.
He also like
absurd.
throws Yan John on the back of his motorcycle when he's unconscious.
Oh my god.
Okay, he does. But I have the third picture that I sent in that chat.
Yeah,
please look at it because this is from the opening of the movie, and they do the exact same thing when he puts him on the motorcycle and drives away. This is we'll put a link to this in the notes as well. This is Seagal's face photoshopped into the visor of another motorcyclist's helmet.
Yeah,
it's so bad. It's so bad.
I also love how Steven Seagal blart he looks in this photo. This is a very... the reaction of watching this movie is, what the hell am I watching? What the hell is this movie? From the start, through the middle, to the ending, to the second ending, through the credits.
Yeah. That's what I couldn't come up with any thoughts on it at the time. I couldn't... decide what it was that I just said. It was just TV static in my brain. I couldn't decide what it was that I just saw.
Let me throw
and
you.
I saw the special thanks to the Chinese propaganda department.
Can I throw y'all a wild curveball?
Please do.
What did you make? What did you make of the child sacrifice subplot?
Oh my god!
I completely forgot about.
So did the movie.
There was just so much going on. And so little going on.
Okay.
Yeah, also, that happens.
So, very
Sorry,
early.
not to do that happened, but that happened.
Take us there, Aaron. Just take us
there.
there.
So, like, as they're working, as Yan Jian and Pretty French Lady, who at this point hate each other.
Super early in the movie,
are working on one of the towers to, like, get everything set up so they can do the tests of their new fangled Chinese approved 3G network. Yan Jian is up in the tower, up at the top, and he's like putting stuff together, and he needs French Lady to scan her thumbprint in to activate the tower. And so she decides to just leave her walkie-talkie behind and kind of go for a walk while he's up there. So she has no way of communicating with him. She just wants to like go see the scenery. They're like in this rugged, beautiful desert. She comes upon these women like huddled around a little girl who are doing something that she immediately assumes is human sacrifice.
Because,
And so she runs over and like kicks the women away and grabs the little girl and runs away. And Yan Jian's like, what in the world is happening? And picks her up in the truck that they were in. Because it's just the two of them out there. They didn't bring anyone else with them. Just these two people. A salesman / technician and this lady whose role is dubious. I don't know what she's actually supposed to be doing. And then they try to drive away in the pickup truck, but they are being chased by warriors on horseback.
The tribe that they took the baby from.
This movie's even more racist than I remember.
Yeah.
This movie is just so confusingly racist in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Frenchie gets away with the girl and takes her to like a hospital. Yan Jian is captured by the warriors. And he's like strung up like a ham. And then like the warriors go to the hospital and like, oh, okay, the girl is safe, right? We're gonna take her now. What? And then Yan Jian is like, they're like, kill him, we have to kill him. And then another character we haven't talked about at all, Sheikh Asaid, he's like the leader of the warriors. He shows up. He's actually really cool. I don't know what his role in the film is, but every scene he's in he's pretty cool.
He's the leader of the tribe, the African tribe that Mike Tyson was a part of.
Sure. I don't know what their role in the narrative is. They seem to be very active, but I don't know whose side they're on or what their goals are. But anyway, they put Yan Jian to a drinking contest that he wins because he's awesome at everything he does and never gets any appreciation. And so he shows the natives that he is better at being them than they are. And then they say, oh, he's cool, and they let him go and like promise to help him out in the future because he's so good at drinking, even though alcohol is illegal in this place, apparently. All alcohol is illegal because Yan Zhan later gets arrested for having alcohol that was given to him by this tribe.
But he replaced it with goat's milk.
Yeah, and then someone came and replaced it with alcohol and got him arrested. Yeah. So it being replaced with goat's milk didn't matter at all.
Yeah, you see what we're talking about, dear listener, when we say TV static. Like, this is nothing. This is nothing.
Well, it's just when he's getting arrested, he can be like, it's goat milk, and then they dump it out like on top of him.
Yeah.
He's like, somebody switched it.
It's just nothing. Yes, they were out on a job site setting up a telecommunications tower, a cell tower, and then they stop what they perceived to be a child sacrifice, but wasn't.
It's never explained what that was.
It's never really explained. And then the people who were like the father of the child comes and gets her from the hospital that she was literally kidnapped to, and takes her back home. And that's really all the more you hear about it.
She never comes up again.
They go hard cut to the next scene where they're testing the cell network.
Yeah.
Like,
because that's the real important part here.
This is why I couldn't parse it. I had so much trouble understanding what I just saw.
No, because
I still don't understand.
The movie says time and time again, the most important thing going on right now is the question of whether or not China will get the contract to take the 3G network to Africa. That is the most important thing happening.
We haven't talked about this yet either. They very specifically in the movie talk about the 3G network.
Yeah.
3G. Now, I know I'm very ignorant. I don't know what the sort of availability would be like in Africa, but I would assume that you can get like modern cell network in this movie came out in 2016 and 4G was very much established by then. They're talking about 3G network, which is like
as like an experimental technology.
As an experimental technology, which was well outdated.
Because they argue, like, are you sure we're going to do the 3G standard? Like, are you sure we should do this 3G instead of, like, the GSM or whatever?
Yeah, 4G was introduced in 2009, it looks like, and by 2016, that was well established to be, like, a global standard everywhere. Probably already in Africa. Like, I don't understand why this movie was using an already outdated form of communications.
I want to be very clear, this is not a defense of the movie, but I think that is just this movie's version of, like, the brand new offshoot of the KGB that was established, like, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
the MK Ultra program that was shut down, like, 40 years ago.
Yeah. It could be. Another layer to the onion that is this movie.
Yeah, no, it was odd that they very specifically talk about the 3G standard in a movie from 2016 or 2017.
Yeah. Oh, my God. You want to know something, a fun fact?
Sure.
Ooh.
Now, the IMDb trivia section is dubious at best. We know this.
Yes.
But
especially in this era.
Seagal does have a scene where he talks to Yan Jian, and he says, "Why don't you speak English?"
Yeah,
now, the man is Chinese.
Or he, like, tells him. He's like, hey, speak English.
Yeah, the man is Chinese, and he's talking to his partner, who's also Chinese. And Seagal's just standing there and says, "Why don't you speak English?"
Oh, I remember this.
The fun fact here is the Mandarin speaking scene where Steven Seagal interrupts a conversation between these two, telling them to speak English, was due to Seagal forgetting his lines. This was inadvertently left in the final cut of the movie.
Nice. I believe it.
I could believe that.
I would believe that. Yeah.
So what would you watch instead?
Independence Day.
Yeah, what if we just list our favorite, like, American propaganda films, like Top Gun, Independence Day, like...
Ooh, Die Hard. It's about, like, the everyman who does an incredible thing against foreign people and getting one over on Europeans. Yeah.
I mean, we just finished watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So I'm going to say if you want, like, some great horse combat scenes.
Oh, yeah.
If you want some excellent, like, horse-mounted cavalry combat.
Wait, you said you sat down and watched the Two Towers. You watched Return of the King, too?
Yeah, we just finished Return of the King today. Like, we rolled credits on Return of the King, like, an hour before I joined this call. Wow. I am so hyped up on Dudes Rock Fever.
Dang!
What did Sarah think?
Oh, she loved it.
Of course she did.
Like whole trilogy. She was like hooked. Like she was way more invested than she thought she was.
Yeah,
gonna be.
because they're amazing.
Like she had great. Like she watched the first one, and like the next day she was like, "Hey, can we watch the next one?" So that's what. So I would suggest for actually instead you should watch Lord of the Rings and have a wife or a girlfriend who will ask you to explain Lord of the Rings while you're watching Lord of the Rings.
That's a tall ask.
if you get to watch Lord of the Rings and you get to be sitting next to a beautiful woman and you get to tell her about Tom Bombadil, like it don't get better than that.
Hey do, Mary do, bum bum.
You get to be like, this Tom Bombadil guy shows up. He's like more powerful in Wizards because he's just not tempted by the ring at all. He's like, oh, that's a cool ring. Okay, anyway, and he's the best character, and he doesn't exist in this movie. No. And the woman you're saying this to is like the most heavenly divine creature that God ever made on this green earth. Like that's pretty
right next to Galadriel. That's way better
than China Salesman. Yeah, she is Galadriel and Liv Tyler.
Yeah, it's stars.
One
stars. There's
one
so many
star.
of them. All the stars.
1 star. It's definitely a half a star movie, but we're rating on a curve here.
I don't think it's a half a star movie. Like I said, like
Aaron.
But so I have to give it something just for the technical aspects. Like there wasn't much technically wrong with this movie.
Oh, grading on a curve, Aaron.
Yeah, I am grading on a curve.
Yeah, that's
okay,
1
so
star.
Han's at 1 star. So Aaron, what do you?
I'm at like, part of me wants to say 2.
That's a lot. That's too many. That's too much of a curve.
I'm thinking 1.5 though. I haven't rated on Letterboxd yet.
That's a good compromise.
Are you ready for a statement? A bold statement?
Yeah.
5 stars are on the flag of China. This movie gets 1 star, but
a classic Zachary Weiberg hot take that's actually ice cold.
A classic misdirection. 5 stars are on that nation's flag. Okay, anyway, this movie, back to the matter at hand, this movie gets 1 star. No more, no less.
Agreed.
1.5.
That's a fair compromise. Okay. 2 is too much.
I kind of like that fight scene between Seagal and
Aaron. That was a really bad fight scene.
But I've been watching nothing but like trash,
add a half a star,
garbage fight scenes for ages. American Fiction didn't have any fight scenes.
Also, I just want to we have an on-set photo of Steven Seagal, not Steven Seagal, of Mike Tyson and Steven Seagal stunt double.
Nice.
So those are whose legs we were seeing fly across the room from like the knees down.
That's fantastic. We're gonna put all of this in the show notes.
So much
you have
to
to
put
look.
in the show notes.
Wait, there's also a photo where we see in Skull's room he has multiple like art prints of motorcycles on his wall.
He likes motorcycles.
Of course, he likes motorcycles
this
in this
in
one.
love with motorcycles. I didn't even know.
We're back to the pet causes, and the pet cause in this one is motorcycles. He's a bike guy.
And himself.
He loves himself.
Well, that's always the underlying pet cause.
I gotta be honest. Mike Tyson was not. He's just not a good actor. You already said it, Aaron. He really isn't.
I'm sorry, Mike.
I'm sorry, Mike Tyson.
He's a terrible actor.
You threw punches good.
Actor. But that's what I'm going to say. Like in this movie, like he acted to the best of his ability through the whole movie.
Yeah.
That was always him. There was no stuntman in there. It was him. And he did a good job at that.
You saw him trying out there. Good.
That's more than we get from Seagal.
Oh my gosh. Like I don't even think this is Seagal on the poster. Like he looks a little off.
Oh, it is not Seagal on the poster. So one thing we have talked a lot of smack about a lot of these posters, like how badly photoshopped they are, and honestly, it feels like it must be like intentional or something.
Yeah.
Actually, like
this one's not really like that.
A lot of these posters are really like far better than the movie.
Yeah.
Whoever they had on staff graphic design. I mean, I guess it was literally like their Ministry of Propaganda. Like they should have like a decent graphic designer. So I want to be very clear. It is the CPC Name and New Committee Propaganda Department is how it is listed in the credits.
Like I know that in Top Gun they consulted with the Navy.
Yeah.
And in Top Gun Maverick they said you looked it up. Like they paid the Air Force a certain amount of money for each flight so that they would have real planes in the movie and it wasn't CGI. Like I understand that there are credits in the ends of those movies to U.S. government forces but they don't literally call themselves the Department of Propaganda. It's so funny.
And also, Top Gun Maverick has a part where they shoot a heat-seeking missile, and the plane like pulls back, like goes like straight vertical, like pulls back, and then like as it's spinning, like it literally clips through like the contrail of like that. It just doesn't get better than that. So I'll take that propaganda and order seconds, please. Thank you.
But you don't understand. This movie has propaganda in which a salesman convinces an African nation to almost
not an African
adopt
nation, the African nation,
to almost adopt the Chinese 3G protocols as the standard for telecommunications on the continent. He fails, but he got really close.
Gets arrested.
No,
at the
you're
end.
right. That is rather compelling.
Oh my god. We didn't even mention Mike Tyson kills himself in this movie.
Oh yeah.
His character now it reads really strange too, because it's supposed to be redeeming.
No.
Because everybody freaks out, and it's like, oh my god, this guy, that's tragic, that's awful, and anyone committing suicide is obviously tragic and awful,
yeah.
and even in film. But
every human death is a
the
tragedy.
man started a civil war. You see him on screen murdering people.
Yeah, and like he tried to kill Yan
right.
Jan like several times.
Yeah,
and he's like grieving this man's death. Like, okay, very sad. That's a horrific thing to witness. I don't wish that upon anyone. You're treating him as if you were like close personal friends.
Yeah, he literally murdered. You watch him on the language of the film is that this man is a murderer, like a terrible, terrible person who started a civil war.
Okay. Rotten Tomatoes, please.
It's
I'm begging
so
you.
bad.
Rotten Tomatoes, please. I'm asking. Can we be certified critics? On
Oh,
your website?
please, Rotten Tomatoes.
Can we please give a critic? Please, Rotten Tomatoes, I'm begging you. I'm praying to the lords of Rotten Tomatoes. Can we please leave a critic review? Can our podcast be listed as one of the critic reviews? Can it be on the tomato meter of China Salesman? Please,
Who do
Rotten
I have
Tomatoes,
to talk
please let it
to?
happen.
Who do I have to
Please,
talk
Rotten
to?
Tomatoes, please let us on the website.
Have we looked that up? I feel like we looked that up at one point.
I think you have to podcast for like 2 years or so.
Please
Please IMDb,
serious?
please let us affect the please Metacritic, please let us affect the score, please all of your websites, please let us on there. I promise we won't abuse that power. We will use it for good.
The featured review on the IMDb page for this movie is Steven Seagal keeps getting work, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
Please, we can do even better than that, I promise. Please, all I want to do is somewhat moderately affect the internet movie score of China Salesman. Please, that's all I want in this world.
Just want to bring those averages down a little bit more.
That'll make me so happy. If my opinion on Absolution was some way reflected on a website, that's all I want.
We demand to be taken seriously.
You think people don't take us seriously?
I take it seriously.
I take us so seriously.
I take you seriously.
I take us so seriously that we've watched 47, however many?
This is 46, I think.
That we've watched 46 Steven Seagal movies. How can I not be serious?
It's so many.
I'm apparently a little too serious. I've watched 46 of these.
So serious.
3 more to go, though. Can you imagine?
You know what? You've watched 46 of these, and you've watched one of them twice. So have I.
Yeah, I watched one of them twice.
Yeah. So you and I are a little bit more serious about it than Zach.
Yeah.
Well, this is like golf. The lower score is better.
Honestly. I envy everyone out there who hasn't seen a single blessed second of any of these.
Yeah, do you know how many people have not seen a single Steven Seagal movie? So many.
So many
The world is such a good place.
All of
The
us
world is so
before this
beautiful.
project.
Yeah.
Most people on this, you have to remember, things can be pretty bad. Most people haven't actually seen any Steven Seagal movies. The world can be a beautiful place.
Yeah.
There is good out there. There's more of them than there are of us.
Yeah.
I love how his stuntman still has to have a goatee.
I
even
was
though you don't
wondering
see
that.
his
Like,
face.
you never see his face. Why does he have a goatee?
And the slick back
committed.
hair.
He's more committed than Seagal has.
You know, we have 3 of these left, and I really can't wait. Really can't wait until we're done. I want, my dream for the future is that I watch number 49 we do a recap episode, and then I never hear the name Steven Seagal for as long as I
Never
live.
say, hear, think about, and in any way encounter.
Yep. So we have 3 more movies, and then we have, I would imagine, the game show. We have to have the full
we have to have a game show and a recap,
and then a recap. We have to take a week or maybe 2, let it all sink in, and then do a recap on how we're feeling, how we're doing.
Well, and talk about Seagal's oeuvre.
Right.
We have to have the Super Size Me like doctor's visit at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We have to see where our cholesterol is at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By the way, we keep referencing that movie. That's not actually a good movie.
No.
We keep referencing Super Size Me. We're not endorsing
No,
Super Size Me.
that was
It's a very flawed
it
documentary.
was
Comparison.
junk science.
I don't want you to think, oh, these are just the biggest fans of Super Size
No,
Me.
I saw like most of it once. Yeah.
They showed it to us in middle school health class, which I coincidentally happened to have as the period immediately before lunch, which was very fun. We're not endorsing this documentary. No. We do not endorse the documentary, nor Morgan Spurlock himself.
Just a good example.
Point of comparison.
Good comparison.
Yeah.
Is now the time to announce that after this project is over, we're not going away?
Yeah, I think I want to announce that. I don't want to announce season 2. I just want to say there will be a season 2.
There will.
Well, we said there was going to be a season 2, like 10 episodes.
In Oeuvre, our heads we have dedicated ourselves to at least a second season. 6 seasons in a movie, really.
6.
Oh, 6. There we go.
Is that our goal?
6 seasons in a movie. I don't know what the hit podcast to film adaptation looks like, but
I think the movie is us going to an empty AMC theater and doing our own Nicole Kidman adaptation with Zach as the centerpiece for Plex.
That's true.
Here in Plexburg, we make dreams come true.
No, one of these days I'm gonna call you Hans. I'm gonna find the most unpopular movie. I'm gonna be yo Hans. Madam Web 2, Madam Weber, 1 p.m. showtime, let's go. Try to find the most dead a theater could possibly be. So we can film our own version for the opening scroll.
Oh my gosh. How do we close this one? How about we all say the Pledge of Allegiance?
How about we just, we'll finish this recording, and then soon after we will hang up our this video call provided by the 3G cellular service from the reputable Chinese telecom that has set themselves up across the great country of North America.
That means one of us has to die.
We need to fix the Patreon thing. I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah, are we still banned on Patreon?
We're still banned on Patreon.
Fix the Patreon thing.
We still have to fix that and set up a 1 penny per month tier.
Yeah.
Just to see if it lets us.
They won't let you do that. I know they won't let you do that.
We'll see.
Have you tried?
No, but there is not a chance in hell they'd let you do that. The monthly contribution has to at least cover the credit card transaction. You cannot.
We're the only creators to have a negative Patreon.
Yeah, the more you subscribe, the more we lose because we're paying 30 cents every time someone signs up for that.
Yeah.
No, they won't let you do 1 cent. I know they won't.
You don't know that. How can you know that?
I know that.
Hang on.
Hang on.
That's so good.
$1 is
Yes.
the minimum.
No.
Okay.
That's not funny.
You're welcome.
I looked it up.
But I told you that it wasn't going to be 1 cent.
You didn't know that for sure.
I knew that for pretty damn sure.
That's not funny.
Yeah, $1 is just people actually do just unironically charge $1 for their lowest tier.
You couldn't even do something funny like charge 69 cents. I would rather do a penny.
Okay, in order to subscribe to our Patreon, you have to give us Steam Steam tradable gift cards. Like you need to give us like a Steam tradable gift card for like Battlefield 1942. That's
I only accept payment in Team Fortress 2 hats.
Yeah, actually, if you could give me the Team Fortress 2 crates, not the keys. I'll take care of the keys. That's fine. Yeah. Just give me the crates.
What you could subscribe for $1 and then we could mail you back the change minus postage.
That would be very funny. That would be a funny bit. As a requirement of subscribing, you have to like provide your Venmo. Although mailing it back is funnier because you subscribe for $1 and then we end up sending you back like
87 cents,
64 cents or something. Like, I don't know how much a stamp is these days.
It's like 54 cents, I think.
Okay, but here's the problem. Then we would have to do that every single month.
We would only ever have like 8 subscribers.
Even if you only have 8 subscribers, how many envelopes have you sent out in a month? Have you ever sent 8 envelopes out in 1 month for more than 1 month?
Oh, easily, yeah.
Oh, well, okay. You're born in the wrong century, loser.
This man walked into the theater with one of those giant things of Taco Bell.
Wow. You know what would make the theater experience much better though?
The crinkling of Taco Bell paper?
No.
Yeah.